So where we left off, we basically, so far in our notes, we've talked about cells in general, we've talked about cell theory. We then went over the organelles. We looked at what each organelle actually looks like. We talked about what each organelle does, what its function is. And so we're just going to wrap up our notes here with a couple things. We're going to talk about sort of how living things are organized, and then we're going to look at some actual electron microscope images of the different cell organelles, and then we'll be done with our notes on cells. So all living things, we know, are made of what? Cells. For some living things, that's as far as it goes. They're just made of one cell or a few cells that kind of just do their own thing. That's the first level of organization. The most simple living things are just cells. Again, the basic unit of life. For example, in our bodies, we have lots of cells, trillions of them, and there's different types of cells. So, we have muscle cells, we have blood cells, we have nerve cells, and so forth. We have all sorts of different kinds of cells in our bodies. In complex organisms, you have another level of organization beyond cells. So here's a muscle cell, for example. One single cell that makes stuff in the muscle. So sometimes you have many cells that are all kind of working together to accomplish some task. And we call that a tissue. Okay, so tissue is a group of cells working together. You guys probably haven't studied it yet. Maybe you have in health class. Does anyone know a type of muscle tissue? No. Okay, there's skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle, smooth muscle. These are types of muscle tissues. Groups of cells that are working together to do something. And basically what muscle tissue does is it contracts. If we go up to a more complex level of organization, a bunch of different types of tissue sometimes work together to form what we call organs. An organ is a group of different tissues working together. What's an example of an organ in our body? Aiden?
Heart.
Your heart. Your heart is made of muscle tissue, as well as blood tissue, nervous tissue, okay? A mixture of different tissues working together to form your actual heart. If we continue, we have groups of organs in our body that work together to do a certain job. Okay? For example, your heart working with your arteries and your veins and your capillaries forms what system? What organ system? Casey?
The respiratory system?
No. Lindsay? What? Your heart, arteries, veins, capillaries. Circulatory, or also called cardiovascular system. So again, we have several organs all working together to do a certain job in our body to transport blood around. That's our cardiovascular system. And finally, if you put together a bunch of these organ systems, you end up with one living organism, one entire living thing, such as a human. Is Harry Potter a human?
Yes. No. He's a wizard.
Is that a different species?
He's Gandalf.
Yes, he's a living Harry.
Gandalf.
He's
He's
part
Harry.
He's part
All right, anyway,
No, he's a second.
so what you'll have to know when we ask questions about this usually is just the order that these words go in. from simplest to most complex, or vice versa. So the simplest level of organization is cells. Cells work together to form tissues. Tissues work together to form organs. Organs work together to form organ systems. And organ systems working together form a complete living organism. All right, so, you know, when we look at our cell drawings, and you guys made cell drawings, and you have some in your notes, everything looks nice and neat. Each organelle is a different color, and it's very clear what's what. Well, in real life, things don't look so clear. Okay. So I want to show you some picture of what these organelles actually look like as they are seen under the electron microscope. So this organelle looks like a jelly bean with all those folds inside. What organelle did we say looks like that? Adam? Yeah, the mitochondria. Mitochondria looks like a jelly bean with folds. Who could remind me of its function? What it does? Mitochondria. Miranda? Yeah, it releases energy. So it releases all the energy our cells need to do what they do. It's released by this organelle called the mitochondria. And it's pretty small. It's about 5 micrometers long, a single mitochondria. All right? Let's finish this up. These little things, give you a hint, would be found inside of the nucleus. They're little packages of DNA. What do we call those, Kyle? Chromosomes, correct. And chromosomes carry our genetic information. They carry our DNA. They make us who we are. They're small. You know, each one's about 5 micrometers long, the longest one. Now, we have a couple things here. First of all, what would you call this whole thing? Whole thing there, Alex? Yeah, that whole thing is the nucleus. The outer layer is the nuclear membrane. What's this dark circle inside, Ryan? No?
Wait, no.
Inside the nucleus, a dark area, Casey?
The
Nucleolus, yes. So one is the nucleolus. Its job is to make the ribosomes. Number 2 is the nuclear membrane. And it basically just separates the nucleus from the outside and allows things in and out. Now this, what do you think that is, Jordan? Okay.
How can something be negative?
That symbol doesn't mean negative. You know what that symbol means? The squiggly? Yeah, it means about. It means like around or close to, like estimated. All right, what organelle? Anyone know what this organelle would be? There's a couple pieces of information that would be helpful. Hi?
Wait, what? Organelle?
Yeah, what organelle would this be?
I don't know.
Hi? Yeah, why did you say cell wall and not membrane? You're right. Well, yeah, but if this were an animal cell, it wouldn't be a cell wall. Yeah, but why is this the cell wall? What about this cell tells you it's a plant cell? Emily?
It's in like the shape. It's kind of like a rectangle.
Yeah, kind of like a squarish, rectangle shape. So that tells you it's a plant cell. And like Kaya said, the outer layer of the plant cell is the cell wall, this thick layer here. The cell wall helps to protect and support the plant cell. You know, this cell is about 90 micrometers across. Now this series of tubes you see here, so what is a series of tubes? Aiden?
The rough ER.
That's the ER, yes. We're just going to say ER. Probably it is the rough ER. What is the job of the endoplasmic reticulum? Jordan? Transports things, good. You know, and this is about 35 micrometers from here to here. Oh, we know this one. Lindsay? Yeah, how'd you know? Lines? What do I call them? See the drops of delicious maple syrup? Yes, those are Golgi bodies. They package up things that are going to be leaving the cell. Golgi bodies are like the post office of the cell. All right. Any questions about those folks? Okay. Yes. What's that?
They look different than like in the.
Yeah, you know, when you make a diagram of something, you often simplify it or make things look clear. But, you know, and same thing when we talk about human body systems or frog anatomy, like the drawings are always like, it's clear, but in real life things are a little messier than we make them sound.